Bernardo Provenzano, known as the Tractor and the Accountant, was the elusive head of the Sicilian Mafia's Corleone faction, a man who ruled Cosa Nostra with an iron grip. From the 1950s to his capture in 2006, Provenzano was implicated in over 127 murders, including the 1992 bombings that killed anti-Mafia judges Giovanni Falcone and Paolo Borsellino, the 1958 assassination of Michele Navarra, and countless executions during the Second Mafia War. His reign turned Sicily into a shadowland of fear, with bodies piling up and blood staining the streets. In this documentary, we dissect his crimes through the lens of psychology and psychoanalysis, exploring why he killed, how he chose his victims, and what drove a man to become a phantom of terror. Why shine a spotlight on Bernardo Provenzano? Because his crimes weren't just violent. They were a chilling blend of cold calculation and ruthless precision, making him a psychological puzzle worth unraveling. His methods were brutal yet strategic. His 43-year evasion of capture a testament to a mind that thrived in shadows. Picture this. A car bomb in 1992 rips through a Palermo highway, killing Judge Giovanni Falcone, his wife, and 3 bodyguards in a fireball that leaves a crater in the earth. 2 months later, another explosion tears apart Paolo Borsellino and 5 escorts, blood and debris raining down. In 1958, Michele Navarra, a rival boss, is ambushed, his body shredded by submachine gun fire. Provenzano, dubbed the Tractor for mowing down enemies, didn't just kill, he orchestrated terror with a purpose. His crimes demand a deep dive into the psyche of a man who could be both a killer and a ghost, making him a prime case for psychological analysis. Let's rewind in 1933. Corleone, Sicily, a dusty, rugged town immortalized by The Godfather. Bernardo Provenzano was born the third of 7 kids to poor farm laborers Angelo and Giovanni. At 10, he's out of school, toiling in the fields under the scorching sun, just as the Allies stormed Sicily in 1943. This isn't just a tough childhood. It's a pressure cooker. Psychologically, growing up in poverty with little education can breed learned helplessness, a sense that life is out of your control. For Provenzano, the Mafia offered a way out, a twisted ladder to power. By his late teens, he's initiated into Cosa Nostra, a secret ceremony binding him to a world where loyalty is everything and betrayal means death. That childhood wasn't just hard, it was formative. Psychoanalyst Erik Erikson would say Provenzano was stuck in the identity versus role confusion stage, searching for a sense of self in a chaotic world. The Mafia gave him that identity, a soldier, a killer. His first big crime comes at 25, in 1958, when he's one of 14 gunmen who ambushed Michele Navarra, the Corleone clan boss. Imagine the scene. A hail of bullets, Navarra's car riddled, his body slumped, blood pooling on the dirt road. This wasn't just a murder. It was Provenzano's initiation into a life of violence. His mentor, Luciano Leggio, called him Binu Trattori for his relentless killing, but also mocked his intelligence, saying he had the brains of a chicken. Yet, that brutality suggests an antisocial personality disorder taking root, a lack of empathy, a thrill in dominating others. For Provenzano, violence wasn't just a tool. It was a way to rewrite his powerless childhood. By the 1960s, Provenzano is a fugitive, dodging a 1963 arrest warrant for a failed hit. He's not just running, he's climbing the Mafia ranks, a shadow beside Salvatore Riina, the bloodthirsty Corleone leader. Together, they unleashed the Second Mafia War, a slaughter that leaves over 1,000 dead. Picture Palermo streets. Bodies of rival bosses like Stefano Bontad and Salvatore Zerillo, gunned down in public, their blood staining cobblestones as passers-by scream. Provenzano's role? The strategist accountant, managing the Mafia's finances from an 18th century villa, using coded notes called pizzini to avoid detection. His ability to stay hidden for 43 years screams paranoid personality traits, a constant distrust of everyone, even allies. Psychologically, Provenzano's low-key approach contrasts with Riina's flamboyant violence, hinting at a narcissistic personality disorder variant, covert narcissism. Unlike Riina's need for public fear, Provenzano craved control from the shadows, his ego fed by outsmarting the world. his religious fervor, signing Pizzini with Bible verses, even reportedly dressing as a bishop at a 1992 Mafia summit, suggests a delusion of grandeur, where he saw himself as a divine arbiter of life and death. This wasn't just crime, it was a mission. His early cattle rustling and cheese theft, small-time hustles, evolved into a multi-billion-pound empire. He wasn't just a thug, he was a chess player, each murder a calculated move. Provenzano's victims weren't random. They were chess pieces in his game of power. He targeted rival mafiosi, state officials, and anyone threatening Cosa Nostra's grip. The 1992 bombings of Falcone and Borsellino were his darkest masterpieces. On May 23, 1992, a 500-kilogram bomb detonates under Falcone's car on the Capassi Highway. The explosion, described by witnesses as an earthquake, hurls cars into the air, leaving Falcone, his wife Francesca Morvillo, and 3 bodyguards in pieces. 2 months later, Borsellino is blown apart outside his mother's apartment. The blast so intense it shatters windows blocks away. Media called it Sicily's apocalypse. Provenzano, part of the Mafia's cupola, approved these hits to cripple the state's anti-Mafia fight. Why these targets? Psychologically, Provenzano's choices reflect instrumental aggression, violence as a means to an end. Rivals like Navarra or Bontad threatened his clan's dominance, so they had to die. Judges like Falcone and Borsellino symbolized the state's challenge to his omnipotence, a direct attack on his narcissistic self-image. Killing them was his way of saying, I am the law. His willingness to kill civilians in bombings, like the 1993 Uffizi Gallery attack in Florence, shows a psychopathic lack of empathy. He didn't just want victory. He wanted terror, aligning with terror management theory, using fear to assert control over a chaotic world. His victims were chosen to send a message: cross the Mafia and you're erased. Provenzano's nickname, the Tractor, wasn't just a metaphor, it was his signature. His early murders, like the 1958 Navarra hit, were up close and personal. Submachine gun spraying bullets, bodies torn apart in seconds. Police reports described the scene as carnage, with Navarra's car looking like Swiss cheese. By the 1990s, as Riina's second-in-command, Provenzano backed high-profile bombings. The Falcone attack used military-grade explosives, the blast so powerful it registered on seismic monitors. Witnesses spoke of burning flesh and screams as rescue workers sifted through wreckage. Borsellino's murder was even more brazen, the car bomb detonating in a crowded Palermo street. Body parts scattered like confetti. These methods weren't just about killing, they were psychological warfare. Provenzano's use of Pizzini to order hits, avoiding phones, shows a paranoid need for control. The bombings, public and catastrophic, were designed to maximize fear, a hallmark of sadistic personality traits. Psychoanalytically, his violence could be a projection of inner chaos, a way to externalize the fear and powerlessness of his childhood. Dissolving bodies or blowing them apart wasn't enough. He needed the world to see the wreckage, to know his power. Each murder was a brushstroke in a portrait of terror, painted by a man who thrived on being untouchable. What made Provenzano tick? Let's dive into his mind. Freud might argue he was driven by the ID, his primal urges for power and survival unchecked by a weak superego. His religious obsession, carrying a rosary, quoting scripture in Pizzini, suggests a split defense mechanism, where he separated his holy self from the killer. This duality let him justify his crimes as part of a divine mission. His 43 years on the run, moving between farmhouses, living like a hermit, point to paranoid personality disorder. He trusted no one, not even his family, communicating only through coded notes. This wasn't just caution. It was a man haunted by his own shadow. His childhood poverty and early Mafia initiation likely stunted his emotional growth, leaving him with a narcissistic wound. He compensated by building an empire, each murder a way to prove he wasn't the powerless boy from Corleone. His relationship with Saverio Palazzolo, his partner, and their 2 sons, whom he kept out of the Mafia, shows a flicker of humanity. But even that was overshadowed by his need for control. He didn't marry, perhaps to avoid vulnerability. Psychoanalyst Melanie Klein might say Provenzano was stuck in the paranoid schizoid position, seeing the world as a battleground of enemies to be crushed. his lack of remorse, even after capture, screams psychopathy, a mind wired for power, not guilt. April 11, 2006. A shepherd's hut near Corleone, just miles from his birthplace. Police, tracking a laundry package from his partner Severia, storm the shack. There's no fight, no gunfire, just a 73-year-old man in jeans, clutching a rosary, smirking as he's cuffed. You have no idea what you've done, he tells him, a cryptic warning of chaos to come. Provenzano, the phantom of Corleone, was finally caught after 43 years, betrayed by his own caution. He'd been sentenced in absentia to multiple life terms for murders like Falcone's and Borsellino's, so no trial was needed. He was locked in solitary, his empire reduced to a cell. His end was grim. By 2012, he's deteriorating, battling bladder cancer and cognitive decline. He tries suicide, slipping a plastic bag over his head, but guards stop him. In 2014, he's moved to a Milan prison hospital, a shell of the man who ran Cosa Nostra. On July 13, 2016, he dies at 83, alone, his legacy a trail of blood. Philosophically, Provenzano's life echoes Camus' absurdism, a man chasing meaning through power, only to find a hollow. His obsession with control, rooted in a childhood of loss, led to a life of destruction but no redemption. He wasn't just a criminal. He was a warning. When power becomes purpose, the soul is lost. Provenzano's story isn't just about one man. It's about the darkness that grows when ambition and trauma collide. His crime scarred Sicily, from the bombed-out highways to the silent fear in Corleone streets. Psychologically, he shows how a boy's pain can birth a monster, how control can become a god. His life asks us, what's the line between survival and savagery? As you watch, heart racing, imagine his Pizzini, scrawled in a dark hut, ordering death. That's the terror of his mind, a reminder that the scariest evils were human faces.